I was just like, no, and then they don't do anything either. I got all that stuff.
Hello. All right, how's that? Okay. There we go. Hi everyone. Hi. So the fun thing about me being a drag king is that, like, in my normal everyday life, I'm so aggressively femme that no one really would kind of anticipate it, and then obviously I put on drag and I'm just like very fucking mask, you know. I have a really, solid grasp of like what it means to be masculine and what masculinity is all about. Clearly. No, that's a lie. Masculinity is so fucking confusing to me. Thank you, yes. I've spent a lot of time, I'm really geeky. I'm a super big nerd, and I spend a lot of time thinking about gender and what masculinity means, and we live in a patriarchy, right? Right. And so a lot of the time being a woman kind of sucks. But then I see like men not being able to cry and shit, and I'm like, no, this is better. This is so much better. Masculinity and homophobia, toxic masculinity in particular, is very, very linked to homophobia, in my opinion, and from what I've observed. And so today I'm going to be reading an excerpt from De Profundis, which is the letter that Oscar Wilde, my namesake, wrote while he was in prison for indecency, which was basically for the crime of being gay. So here we go. It's very light and fluffy reading. Okay, so I'm starting sort of halfway through, and then I'm going to skip ahead, and then I'm going to read the very last. I have lain in prison for nearly 2 years. Out of my nature has come wild despair, an abandonment to grief that was piteous even to look at, terrible and impotent rage, bitterness and scorn, anguish that wept aloud, misery that could find no voice, sorrow that was dumb. I have passed through every possible mood of suffering. Better than Wordsworth himself, I know what Wordsworth meant when he said, "Suffering is permanent, obscure, and dark, and has the nature of infinity. But while there were times when I rejoiced in the idea that my sufferings were to be endless, I could not bear them to be without meaning. Now I find hidden somewhere away in my nature something that tells me that nothing in the whole world is meaningless, and suffering least of all. That something hidden away in my nature, like a treasure in a field, is humility. It is the last thing left in me, and the best, the ultimate discovery at which I have arrived, the starting point for a fresh development. It has come to me right out of myself, so I know that it has come at the proper time. It could not have come before nor later. Had anyone told me of it, I would have rejected it. Had it been brought to me, I would have refused it. As I found it, I want to keep it. I must do so. It is the one thing that has in it the element of life, of a new life for me. Of all things, it is the strangest. One cannot acquire it except by surrendering everything that one has. It is only when one has lost all things that one knows that one possesses it. Now I have realized that it is in me, I see quite clearly what I ought to do, in fact must do. And when I use such a phrase as that, I need not say that I am not alluding to any external sanction or command. I admit none. I am far more of an individualist than I ever was. Nothing seems to me of the smallest value, except what one gets out of oneself. My nature is seeking a fresh mode of self-realization. That is all I am concerned with. And the first thing that I have got to do is to free myself from any possible bitterness of feeling against the world. I am completely penniless and absolutely homeless, yet there are worse things in the world than that. I'm quite candid when I say that rather than go out from this prison with bitterness in my heart against the world, I would gladly and readily beg for my bread from door to door. If I got nothing from the house of the rich, I would get something at the house of the poor. Those who have much are often greedy. Those who have little always share. I would not mind sleeping in the cool grass in summer, and when winter came, sheltering myself by the warm, closed thatched rick, or under the penthouse of a great barn, provided I have love in my heart. The external things of life seem to me now of no importance at all. You can see to what intensity of individualism I have arrived, or am arriving rather, for the journey is long, and where I walk there are thorns. Of course, I know that to ask alms on the highway is not to be my lot, and that if ever I lie in the cool grass at night time, it will be to write sonnets to the moon. When I get out of prison, R will be waiting for me on the other side of the big iron-studded gate, and he is the symbol, not merely of his own affection, but of the affection of many others besides. I believe I am to have enough to live on for about 18 months at any rate, so that if I may not write beautiful books, I may at least read beautiful books. And what joy can be greater? After that, I hope to be able to recreate my creative faculty. But were things different, had I not a friend left in the world, were there not a single house open to me in pity, had I to accept the wallet and ragged cloak of sheer penury, as long as I am free from all resentment, hardness, and scorn, I would be able to face the life with much more calm and confidence than I would were my body wrapped in purple and fine linen, and the soul within me sick with hate. And I really shall have no difficulty. When you really want love, you will find it waiting for you. Oh, that's I need not say that my task is not in there. It would be comparatively easy if it did. There is much more before me. I have hills far steeper to climb, valleys much darker to pass through, and I have to get it all out of myself. Neither religion, morality, nor reason can help me at all. Morality does not help me. I am born antinomian. I am one of those who are made for exceptions, not for laws. But while I see that there is nothing wrong in what one does, I see that there is something wrong in what one becomes. It is well to have learned that. Religion does not help me. The faith that others give to what is unseen, I give to what one can touch and look at. My gods dwell in temples made with hands, and within the circle of actual experience is my creed made perfect and complete. Too complete it may be, for like many or all of those who have placed their heaven in this earth, I have found it not merely the beauty of heaven, but the horrors of hell also. When I think about religion at all, I feel as if I would like to found an order for those who cannot believe. The confraternity of the faithless, one might call it, where on an altar on which no taper burned, a priest in whose heart peace had no dwelling, might celebrate with unblessed bread and a chalice empty of wine. Everything to be true must be a religion, and agnosticism should have its ritual no less than faith. I so agree with that. I vibe with that. It has sown its martyrs, it should reap its saints, and praise God daily for having hidden himself from man. But whether it be fear, faith, or agnosticism, it must be nothing external to me. Its symbols must be of my own creating. Only that is spiritual which makes its own form. If I may find its secrets within myself, I shall never find it. If I have not got it already, it will never come to me. Okay, I'm going to skip to the end. It's so long. Took me like 3 days. Okay. So basically he talks a lot more. He like compares himself to Jesus at some point in the letter, which is fun, and I did think about reading it, but I want to keep it short, so. Okay, but this is such a beautiful passage, so I hope you enjoy it. All trials are trials for one's life, just as all sentences are sentences of death. And 3 times have I been tried. The first time I left the box to be arrested, the second time to be led back to the house of detention, the third time to pass into a prison for 2 years. Society, as we have constituted it, will have no place for me, has none to offer, but nature, whose sweet rains fall on unjust and just alike, will have clefts in the rocks where I may hide, and secret valleys in whose silence I may weep undisturbed. She will hang the night with stars so that I may walk abroad in the darkness without stumbling, and send the wind over my footprints so that none may track me to my hurt. She will cleanse me with great waters, and with bitter herbs make me whole.
Some